Hello, I'm Sarah Hernandez, a clinical social worker. In this video, I'll be conducting a follow-up session with Hector, a 40-year-old Puerto Rican gay man struggling with substance use and past trauma. Hector was referred to our residential substance misuse program after becoming homeless due to his drug use. He has a history of depression, childhood abandonment, and sexual abuse. This clip demonstrates a portion of our third session, where I'll be using a variety of techniques, which will include free association, interpretation, and reflecting. And now we will begin. Hello, Hector. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. How have you been since our last session?
Okay. Thinking a lot about we talked last time, hard to sleep.
I'm glad you've been reflecting, even if it's been difficult. What's been on your mind that's been keeping you up at night?
I've been thinking about my grandmother, miss her very much, and I feel guilty.
Tell me more about your grandmother, whatever comes to mind. And what makes you feel guilty?
She was everything to me, always there, not like parents. When she died, I feel lost, started drinking more. She cooking for me, listen to me, never judge, always pray for me, and now I feel disappointed her.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Hector. She sounds like she was an amazing woman, and it sounds like she was a source of unconditional love and support for you. It sounds like you're carrying some guilt about disappointing her. Can you tell me more about that feeling of disappointment?
I know she wants to me to be good, to good man. She wants to me to have family now. I mess up everything, drugs, homeless. And by the way, I was missing my boyfriend, Henry.
It's understandable that you feel that way, especially given your grandmother's hopes for you. It seems that you're holding yourself to a very high standard, perhaps the same standard your grandmother had for you. How does that feel?
Heavy, like I can never be good enough.
I'm hearing that your grandmother's death was a significant loss, and you're now carrying both the grief of that loss and the weight of the feeling that you've let her down. I'm wondering if you see any connections between that loss, the feeling of guilt, and your increased substance use.
Um, Maybe I never think about it that way before. But yes, after she gone, I feel like alone and like bad a person. Drugs make me feel not alone. Not so bad, like I can forget everything.
So, as if the drugs help you escape both the loneliness and the harsh judgment you're placing on yourself?
Yes, that's how it's. Wow, like I never see it like that before.
I can see that's a powerful realization. It's important to remember that you were very young when your parents weren't there for you and you experienced trauma like we began to talk about last week. That's not your fault, Hector. It sounds like your grandmother did her best to fill that void, but her death sounds like it was a major setback.
Yes, that sounds right. I never see it that way before. It's hard to think about it's not my fault, you say.
It's not your fault you experienced those early traumas, Hector. You were a child, and it's not your fault you turned to something to cope with pain. Many people in your situation would have done the same. The important thing now is to find healthier ways to cope and to learn to live a healthier life.
I wonder if I always look like for someone to take care of me, like grandmother did, and maybe push people away when they can be hurt.
That's a very perceptive observation, Hector. How do you think this might relate to your relationships, including the one with Henry?
Maybe I expect too much one from Henry to be like grandmother, but he can be. I get angry and push him away. Then I feel more alone, and I use it drugs.
It sounds like you're recognizing a pattern in your relationships, a pattern where you seek someone to fill that early void, but then become disappointed when they can't be who you need them to be. This could be an important area for us to explore further. How does it feel to consider this?
A little scared because I don't know how to be different, but also I like it, I like to make I can change things. Maybe I don't know how to be alone.
That mix of feelings is very common. When we start to uncover these patterns, it takes courage to look at this. And your willingness to explore this is a strength, Hector. As we continue our work, we can look for ways to develop new patterns and coping strategies. Have you thought about what some of these new strategies could be?
Uh you mentioned like cooking. My grandmother's recipes. Maybe that helped me to feel like close to her without drugs. And maybe I can learn more to be okay on my own. No need to someone to take care of me.
I'm glad that you remember what we talked about last week in the cooking. These sound like excellent goals, Hector. Let's talk more about the cooking. What was your favorite dish that your grandmother used to make?
Arroz con pollo with pernil, so good. She teach me a little bit, but I forget.
That sounds delicious. Maybe you could find the recipe again. We could even make a plan for you to try cooking it for everyone around the recovery program in the common area kitchen.
Uh,
How does that sound?
that sounds good. Scary, but good. I not cook in a long time.
We could break it down into small steps. Take it nice and slow. First, find the recipe, then make a list of the ingredients, and then pick a day to cook. Make sure it's okay with everybody. Would you like for me to help you with that plan?
Yes, please. That would be good.
Okay, let's do that. Before we get into the details, I'm checking the time, and it looks like we're about uh 5 minutes about before we end the session. How are you feeling as we end our session?
Tired, but good. Like I understand more now and have something to do. Maybe I can even change. But what happened if I fail? Um,
We talked a lot about failure. what does success look for you, Hector? What might success look like?
Maybe having a job again, being clean for myself back, living with Henry, making my grandmother proof.
And what do you think your grandmother would say if she could see you here today?
I think she will be like kind of me and sad to see me like very strong, but happy. I am here trying to be better.
I'm so glad you're feeling some clarity and have concrete steps to take. Remember to be gentle with yourself as you process these insights and try new things. We'll work on the plan together next week. Is there anything you want to say before we close?
What I want to say is thank you to you. I feel like
Keep going.
wonderful because I haven't you, and I never seen talking with somebody like you. You
By somebody like me, what do you mean?
like you doing the best job, like everyone should do, and I am glad, really, to you, and I appreciate for
Well,
every.
that makes me happy to hear. I'm glad that I'm making a difference.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Hector, as we're ending our session, let's quickly recap what we've covered today. You shared more about your grandmother and how her passing affected you deeply. We explored the connection between that loss, feelings of guilt, and your substance use as a way to cope with loneliness and self-judgment. We also identified a potential coping strategy, cooking your grandmother's favorite recipe to connect with her memory in a healthier way. We'll work on a concrete plan for that next time. You demonstrated great courage in exploring these difficult emotions, and I appreciate all that you shared with me today. Now, would you like to meet again next week?
Yes, of course.
All right, should we do the same time?
Yes, that will be perfect. Thank
All right,
you.
Hector,
Thank you
looking
so
forward
much.
to it. Thank you.
All right.